doing is describing to us what he writes about in his book, the idea of youth sports as a development zone. And he contrasts it with a different type of sports culture, which is a sports culture we're surrounded with, usually when we turn on our TV and watch sports. Once a year it's Little League Baseball, but the rest of the year it's the Warriors, the Yankees, the Broncos. Okay? I circled a couple things that you guys mentioned that Jim talked about. Resiliency, facing challenges, struggling, learning to struggle and stick with it. Preparation for the next level, baseball and life. Finding value in development and growth. So there's definitely some connections here between what Jim said and some of the ideas you shared. We're going to, during the workshop, do three things. We're going to talk more about a development zone and see if that is indeed the kind of culture we want at Sonoma Little League. Anytime you see a number up here on the slide or down in the lower corner, it just means that the book, that's a section of the book that talks about that. Then we're going to talk about ways here at Sonoma Little League that you think you can strengthen your development zone culture. And then lastly, we're going to take all the ideas that we kick around and we're going to prioritize them. We're going to pick the top 3 to 5 that we think, if we put these ideas into action, they'll have the biggest impact for us this year. So that's our game plan. So this is kind of a diagram of what Jim Thompson was talking about. You guys talked several times about development in baseball and in life. PCA's tagline is better athletes, better people. We think when youth sports is done right, this is the result. You get both of those things. But we also know that sometimes in youth sports, things get off track. And kids actually learn the wrong life lessons. If I'm a good baseball player, I don't have to get good grades. They'll let me slide by. Okay? If I'm the best player on the team, I don't have to treat people with respect. But youth sports done right. Oh, respect. Respect. Why do I have to respect adults? Look at my coach yelling at Mr. Jones. Okay? When we have what is called a development zone, though, that gives us the best chance to hit this target. In order to hit this target, we need 4 key groups understanding their role and carrying that role out. We need to get these 4 groups on the same page, so to speak. First of all, you all. We call it being a single goal leader. I'll tell you a little bit more why we call it a single goal leader shortly. But you create and you defend the culture. You set the tone. How many of you are coaching teams this year? Okay, if you guys are what we call double goal coaches, you have a chance to have a development zone culture. If those of you who are on the board don't live this out, I'm going to explain what this is short. If you don't live this out, then you have virtually no chance of having a development zone culture because you're the models, you're the leaders. Okay, so it starts with you all. Secondly, the coaches. A double goal coach is a coach that, 1, strives to win. At what point do you start keeping score in your games? What age? From the very first, or T-ball? T-ball? Do they keep scoring T-ball?
No. They do.
They do, but there's no official score. So, at PCA, we think that the scoreboard and winning has a purpose. So, the first goal of a double goal coach is to strive to win and help their team win. But a double goal coach has a second and even more important goal, and that's the second one you see there. Teaching life lessons and building character. Understanding that Little League Baseball is a great place to make that happen. The reason we think striving to win is important is because for a lot of us, it's part of this goal right here. Competing and striving to win is part of the fun. But more importantly, striving to win is, and the fact that it's competitive, and that there is a scoreboard winner and loser at a certain point, it helps bring the life lesson opportunities to life. The fact that it's competitive helps make youth sports a great place for kids to learn life lessons and develop character. The parents. How many of you think the parents are important to your culture? Everybody raise your hand. Maybe raise 2 hands, right? Yeah, we got to get the parents on board. And what does Positive Coaching Alliance teach parents? We don't teach them to be double goal parents. We say be a second goal parent. Leave the winning to the coaches and the players. Where you can contribute the most, mom and dad, is by focusing on that second goal. Helping your child absorb the life lessons that your coach is teaching, that the sport of baseball is teaching. Ironically, mom and dad, if you also want your child's team to win, ironically, by being a second goal parent, that is the best way to help your child's team win. There are some exceptions to this, unfortunately, that people get caught up in. But in most cases, the parents that leave the winning to the coaches and the athletes, they're the ones who help their teams win the most. We also have a triple impact competitor model. This is our model for the players and athletes. We call it triple impact because a triple impact competitor works to make themselves better, make their teammates better, and make their sport, make the game better. Usually we work with high school age athletes in that workshop. All 4 groups understanding their role and carrying it out. So this is a question for you. How would you answer that? Is this the kind of culture that you want at Sonoma Little League? Yes? Is there any part of this, is there any part of the development zone description that Jim Thompson and I have given you that you're not comfortable with or that you feel doesn't really fit for you? Okay, that's a time when I like silence because I want you to be on board with this. You know, if you aren't, we'll talk about it and we'll focus on things we agree on. But because you guys were so quiet, that means that this is what you want. So we're going to come back to this, and as well as this. Okay, so in the last slide, your role was the goal of a single goal leader. We think that effective youth sports leaders focus relentlessly on culture shaping. Culture shaping is critical because culture is powerful. Rules and laws and policies help people know how to act and behave. They're helpful. But even more important, even more influential, is the kind of culture you're in. So when a new parent shows up at Sonoma Little League and attends their first game, how do they know whether it's okay here to yell and scream at the umpires? How do they know?
We let them know.
Okay, you tell them. How else do they? Okay, so you tell them and they show up at the game and they sit down next to me and I'm going, come on, Blue!
Look at the other
What do you...
around them.
They learn from those around. They learn from the culture that they're around. So it's good that you let them know. And later on, you're going to see PCA is going to encourage you to let them know exactly what you want from them. Because that's going to help you shape the culture you want. So culture is powerful. By the way, we define culture this way. Culture is the way we do things here. The way Sonoma Little League does things might be different than the way Napa Little League does things. You might have 2 different cultures. Okay? But you're going to have a culture. It's not a question of whether you're going to have a culture. The question is it the culture you want? Is it a culture that you all shape, or is it a culture that just falls into your lap? The problem with not shaping the culture, you guys not shaping the culture, is too often you end up with a miniature Major League Baseball. Well, this is the way baseball is. When I turn on the TV, people yell and scream at the umpires. Okay? If a batter gets hit in the head, then we beam the first batter that comes up for the other team. different culture. What's the bottom line in pro sports?
Apparently being profitable.
Why is winning so important in pro sports?
Profit,
Why is
money.
Money.
It's a $1 billion
We're going to have to-
sports entertainment
And
business.
it's run by men. Let's be honest.
Hard shot, that's a whole different conversation.
Look how we're all seated here already. Women on one side, women on the other.
Yeah, we're cowering in
A
corner.
multi-billion-dollar entertainment business with a bottom line that is very different than this. Do you think the owners of those teams are trying to, this is their bottom line, camaraderie and getting players to respect constructive criticism? I mean, if they want these things, it's because they know it will help them win, and they know winning will help them sell tickets, and selling tickets is how they make money and support that multi-billion-dollar entertainment business. A single goal leader focuses relentlessly on culture shaping. That's the single goal part. So, the development zone has single goal leaders, double goal coaches, second goal parents, triple impact competitors. It also is characterized by these three principles. How many of you attended the coaches workshop that Tony Asaro did a few weeks ago? Okay, he spent a lot of time with the coaches getting them to understand the three principles of positive coaching. The Elm Tree of Mastery, whereas instead of a scoreboard definition of success and winning, we emphasize effort, learning, and bouncing back from mistakes. Okay, that's the first principle. Filling the emotional tank. Does anybody remember the ratio that PCA proposes for
Was it kiss like this?
5 to 1? Okay, 5 times as much tank filling feedback and interaction as critical corrective interaction. 5 to 1 is what produces the best performance. And research shows this in lots of fields, including sports. It produces the best performance, and it produces the healthiest relationships. So the second second principle is filling the emotional tank. The third one is honoring the game, and honoring the game gets to the roots of positive competition, where root stands for 5 key areas. I'm going to tell Tony that one of the coaches knew roots. 5 key areas that we always show respect for in sports. Rules, opponents, officials, teammates, and self. How do you show respect for yourself in youth sports, whether you're an administrator, a player, a coach, or a parent? You do it by living up to your own standards, even if others don't. You live up to your standards no matter what. So if the coach in the other dugout isn't showing respect for officials, it doesn't mean that I change my behavior. If the parents in the stands don't treat the players with respect, it doesn't mean that I change my standards. If you believe in roots and honoring the game, you live up to those standards always. So let me ask you this question again. I'm going to ask you a few times during the workshop. Is this what you want? Do you want your culture to reflect these 3 core principles? Anybody uncomfortable with any part of this? We're good with this? Yeah. All right. So, in regards to the 4 models, in regards to the 3 principles, what are Sonoma Little League's strengths? What are Sonoma Little League's areas for improvement? Okay, or opportunities for growth, for strengthening our culture? Okay, and again, we're talking about it in relation to these 3 principles, and we're talking about it in relation to the 4 mental models. When I say go, I'll tell you what. Let's work in pairs again. But you just can't talk to the same partner you did last time. If that means you have to get up and squeeze around, do so. Working in pairs, our strengths, our areas for improvement. Go. Somebody taking notes.
What are our strengths? Strengths.